Howdy 102ers, we have another quick and easy week in terms of submissions, but there is a very important thing for you to review, so we'll take our time on that. It shouldn't be a very long video, but I've been known to be wrong on these things before. So since we're heading into the last third of the class, and your draft is due next week, not this week, I need you to just relax and make sure that you watch the end of this video for the intended schedule of events, okay? Do that, and your stress will melt away. Okay, cool. Now that we're set up to start, let's visit our old friend, the announcement, to make sure, oh, here we go, to make sure that you remember that these are important. Everything is listed, folks. After we go through what I have to tell you up here, you have the video link here, you've got the direct link in the chapter listing, you've got what is coming up, what you should be reading for the week, what to complete and when, and of course the attachment, which is the Unit 3 argument directions and sample packet, okay? Please make sure you do that. Anyway, once we get through that, we click back on there, and we can click on the 102 Masterclass schedule over on the right, scroll all the way down to week 11. Here it is. And you can see that, honestly, we don't have a lot. We have 2 files to look through as well as a discussion board post. That's going to help you focus your ideas on the counterargument and the rebuttal. We're givers here at Delaware Tech, people. Givers. Now, all that being said, let's start with the tips for writing counterarguments and rebuttals. Here it is. This page has some nuggets of information, but, unfortunately, it's rather quick and lacks a lot of solid discussion on not just what to do, but why we do it in the first place. I've sometimes asked someone during a debate, did you just wait for me to take a breath so you could just jump in and start speaking? Or did you actually have something of note to say? Seriously, how many of us listen for breaks in the conversation to jump in without really listening to the actual person's words before we do? That's not giving a counterargument, that's giving a verbal attack. A solid counterargument takes in all of the initial argument points, processes them, and then attempts to refute one or more of those points with counter-evidence. Yes, counter-evidence. That can be defined as evidence specifically found in response to an argument which is presented in the, you guessed it, counter-argument. I've said before that an argument, and now in this case a counter-argument, that has no real evidence to support its point is simply an assertion. We don't like assertions. Assertions are just verbal diarrhea that do more to show you your inability to logically respond to that argument than to ever convince your opponent that the argument was wrong in the first place. Knowing all that, we need to now know how to accurately counter an argument. The first thing we have to do is provide a very clear and solid transition to illustrate to your reader that we are leaving the main argument and heading in a totally different direction. Now, there are many appropriate transitions that you can use, and yeah, some are listed on this page here, okay? I also have provided another link in your announcement that you can see here. And you can choose whichever one makes you feel stronger about your transition. Now, as you can see, this page, the Pennington Publishing blog, it's not really as warm and fuzzy as the Delaware Tech Brightspace page, but what it lacks in back rubs and unicorns, it more than makes up for in down and dirty mechanics. By looking at this page, you can see how the sausage is made. Seriously, though, this is helpful to get you thinking about your transitions and assembling the ideas. So as you can see here, you may not be able to understand the idea of first contrasting transition, plus naming the opposition, plus strong verb, plus opposing point of view, plus evidence, plus... Okay, that's a lot. I get it. So break it down. In order to go from your argument to your counterargument, you have to provide a contrasting transition to show your reader that you're going in an opposite direction. Some transitions that you can use are, however, but, admittedly, although, alternatively. Showing your reader that automatically, hey, I'm now going in a different direction. Name the opposing side. Talk about what the people who disagree with you might be. So don't say others or some. I disagree with this part. Be more detailed. So if we're talking about my topic of the need to generate a global cybersecurity task force, you might say, admittedly, other countries, okay, admittedly, cyber criminals, admittedly, local politicians. Talk about who is going to be making that counter argument. That's going to fit in here. Then give some strong verbs and a denial or an assertion. Some politicians reject. Some politicians argue that. Some politicians support. Anything that you feel would be a really good idea in here will finish up that beginning of the transition. And then explain their opposing point of view. Why does the other side feel the way they do? It's not just that they feel this way. Okay? Admittedly, some people are against abortion. No kidding. Who are they, and why are they against it? Admittedly, most religious leaders are against abortion because it flies in the face of their religious doctrine of pro-life. There you go. That is a wonderful opening sentence for your counter-argument. You are now explaining who the opposing side is and why they disagree. But then, that's still not good enough. You have to give evidence to support that. So pick the best evidence to support the opposing point of view. If you're talking about the abortion topic, then you go through and you discuss the pro-life stance of the Catholic Church or the Christian Church. You talk about, the cyber terrorism. You talk about evidence that given by other countries, the European Union, as to why they don't want to give up their power in prosecuting cybercrimes. Okay? So that's great. Give an analysis, an explanation, or an insight of why that evidence works or doesn't work. Okay? Then give a contrasting transition. Well, okay, I'm sorry. Let deal with this first. This here is all the opposing point of view. That's what it is. You're going to do that like twice. Give me 2 solid counter arguments. But then you're going to give me another contrasting transition. However, and then referencing this opponent view, even though religious leaders feel this way, this is an outdated idea that must be updated for the modern times. And now you're giving your rebuttal at this point, okay? You're accepting, you're rejecting, you're criticizing, okay? All of this here, if you can break this down and look at each individual piece rather than the whole thing, you're going to end up with a really solid counter-argument and transition. Now, the bulk of this page is how to put together the rest of the counter-argument and rebuttal. Now, after that oh-so-necessary transition and everything I just talked about, you will need to work CSET into it again by making the claim your main counter-argument point. After that, you hit the reader with your setup and provide the evidence as to why the claim for your counter-argument is actually a strong idea. It's literally the exact same thing you just did in the argument, but now you're going in the opposite direction. Finish up with the tie-in and you'll have a pretty solid counter-argument. Now, do not rest on one simple idea. It's so nice you want to do it at least twice, so go for another counter-argument point as well, okay? Once you've established the counter-argument, you want to switch gears again, once more using CSET, and present why, while the counter-argument seems okay on the surface, it's actually still all about your argument. You can tear down your counter-argument to show why the overall argument is still the strong thing. Again, the most important thing here is both a solid transition showing that you've been moving in a different direction again, and the evidence you are using to support those rebuttal points. Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to show you the discussion board I expect you to do, and this will make a whole lot more sense because I put a pretty solid sample post in there. Now, the next page to review is the paraphrasing and your argumentative research paper. Boom. Now, unfortunately, this page is not very good. First, you've already seen the whys and wherefores of paraphrasing before. Next, this page really isn't about paraphrasing to begin with, it's just someone's rant on citing paraphrasing. Just remember that if you use any outside source, whether you directly quote it, also known as copying and pasting, or paraphrasing it, also known as taking someone's ideas and putting them into your own words so that everyone else can understand it better, you must cite it, now and forever. Don't ever forget that. If it's not your material, you must give credit to the original author. So what's the big takeaway from this particular page? Well, it's the type of citing that you must do. Now, officially, looks like this got all messed up here. Excellent. Anyway, officially, the American Psychological Association states that you must provide author, year of publication, or update, and the location of the information. That's the page or paragraph number. For any direct quote. The APA states that for any paraphrase, you must provide the author and year of publication or update, but the location of the information is optional, which means that you can choose to include it or not. They leave it up to your receiving institution or instructor. To be 100% honest with you, I prefer seeing the location of the information. Again, that's the page or paragraph number in every single citation. Why? In a direct quote, it's a rule. In a paraphrase, it shows me and your other readers not only where the paragraph begins, right after the year, but also, not paragraph, paraphrase, right after the year, but also where it ends. Your reader never has to guess where the next sentence is a part of the paraphrase or the beginning of your tie-in. There's no muddy water there, folks. Now, some of my colleagues are dead set against this, and I'm not sure why. You are literally adding as many characters to the paper as you would if you typed in a telephone number. That's it. Honestly, you're actually adding more characters to the telephone number, but whatever. So this is called bookending, and it's incredibly helpful for everyone involved. So as you can see here, bookend, setup, evidence, citation. We have it here. Wonderful. We have the introduction. We have the year. We have our paraphrase. And then, oh, look at that. The citation at the end. It's lovely, okay? Now, if you are curious about the best way to paraphrase, I can tell you that you need to avoid the thesaurus game and try the old put the end at the beginning and the beginning at the end game. Yeah. What the hell am I talking about? Let's say, for example, you have a direct quote that says the large green dinosaur ate the leafy treetops, and it was written by Grant in 1993 in the first paragraph. You obviously know that I want you to paraphrase it, so you're thinking, how would I do that? You do it this way. Instead of the large green dinosaur ate the leafy treetops, now you have the huge, verdant, terrible lizards consume the vegetation atop the woody protrusions. It sounds stupid. What you've just done is you've taken each word and given me a synonym, hence the thesaurus. It doesn't make sense. Well, it does make sense. It just is very, very awkwardly stated. And equally, you did not provide a citation, which a lot of people feel, oh, these are my words, so I shouldn't have to cite them. Wrong! It's somebody else's idea. You must always cite them. So, instead of this sentence with the citation, you've given me this garbage. It's terrible. Okay? It's absolutely terrible. So, what should it look like? Here, using a narrative transition, we can see that we have our citation broken down into three pieces: author, year, and location of the information. We have our paraphrase in the middle. Remember, I said the large green dinosaur ate the leafy treetops. So now what we did was we can actually use the same words. We just can't put them in the same order. Like, I'm not going to say terrible lizards instead of dinosaurs. Yes, dinosaur is translated to terrible lizard. But you know what? It's fine to say dinosaur. Treetops are fine to say. You do not have to say the leafy vegetation at the top of the wooded protrusions. That's ridiculous. So, What I have done is I've taken the end of the original sentence and I've moved it to the beginning. I've taken the beginning and moved it towards the end. I've kind of rearranged the middle a little bit, and now what I have done is taken that original sentence and thrown it into a metaphorical blender. I've clicked pulse a few times and I've poured out all the words and I rearranged them the way I think they should be put together. Everything still reads correctly. According to Dr. Grant in 1993, the first two parts of my citation, treetops were the most common sustenance of the bigger dinosaurs due to the proximity to their mouths. Great. I have not changed Dr. Grant's original sentence idea, but I have changed the wording and the order of it. That is a paraphrase. I finish up with the actual paraphrase location of the information, and I know that everything in between here and here is a paraphrase of Dr. Grant. Get my point? Oh, you do not have to do this paraphrasing project at the end of the page, unless you really want to. I mean, I'm very happy to receive it, comment on it, and return it to you if you'd like to work on it. If not, it's no skin off my nose, okay? Finally, let's take a look at the only assignment for the week. The Unit 3 Counter-Argument and Rebuttal Planning Discussion Board. That is a mouthful. Okay. Clicking on that, we get to here. It's sort of a forced draft of your counter-argument and rebuttal, so I know exactly what you're thinking about and if you're taking it seriously. Please make sure you do exactly what is being asked, because if you do this correctly, you've literally written that page or two of your final paper. Seriously. Look at the requirements here. How do I want you to do it? Okay. Give me your thesis statement, just so you remind yourself what you're arguing against. Then, give me your counter-argument. Notice that I'm using some language from that Pennington publishing blog that I showed you earlier, as well as linked on your announcement. Transitional phrase, opposing reason, okay? The topic sentence, the claim. And then, two ideas that you'll use to explain the opposing reason. One, possible source you'll cite. Okay, great. All of this material is fantastic for the counter-argument. How is it in play? Scroll down and you will see here that I have posted a sample post that says, please do not reply to this sample. But I've given my thesis. Now I've switched the topic a little bit. I'm talking about DWI. But here's my counter-argument. I've got one counter-argument paragraph. I've got a second counter-argument paragraph. You do not have to label them 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. I did this to show you what each piece is. My 1 is my claim, okay? My 2 and my 3, as you can see here, are two ideas and my citations. So I have my two ideas, citation. I have my two ideas, my citation. Everything is in there. As you can see, these are not short paragraphs. These are well-constructed paragraphs. That's what I want from you. Even if you think the counter-argument is stupid, you have to give it some level of credibility because you treat the opposing side just as strongly as you treat yours. Once you're done this, then I want you to do the rebuttal. Once again, transitional phrase, two new ideas, and one source that you'll cite. Fantastic. Then you go down here, and here's the rebuttal. I've given you two again. 1, 2, and 3. 1. I don't know why I don't have 3 in here. I must not have cited anything. But the point is, I have all this material here for you to look at and follow along with. You see exactly what I want. Finally, yes, as always, you have to respond to at least 2 of your peers' posts. I want you to give me more than just, oh, that makes sense, or that sucks. Tell me why you think the counter-argument is strong or weak. You can help your audience by telling them, yeah, you know what? This counter-argument really isn't all that strong to begin with, okay? So please make sure that you're honest with all of that. Now, granted, it's going to be longer than most discussion board posts, but you can literally take what you've done here and paste it into your final paper. So, as you can see here, I have a lot, okay? If I copy and paste this into Microsoft Word and make sure that I've set the font size and spacing correctly, this is 1 2/3 pages of my paper. If your argument was, say, 2.5 pages, and that's probably a bare minimum, you're looking at 4+ pages of the text already completed with your background, introduction, and conclusion to go. You're welcome. Now, speaking of that, if you listened to me and did what I asked you to do, you should already have your argument points completed and sitting in a file safe somewhere. Now, add the counterargument and rebuttal to those argument points, and you should have your development totally completed by this coming due date. That's 5 pages, probably, of material out of a 7-page minimum, okay? Now, this coming week, you'll have your draft due. So it'll be taking, I'll be talking about the background section in addition to your introduction and conclusion in that video for the coming week. Once you get all of that completed and your paper is done, all you have to do is worry about the proofreading and formatting. It's kind of nice to have all that taken care of, right? And that's all she wrote, folks. Hopefully, these few weeks of simplicity have really helped you with your paper submission, get your paper submission into shape. If not, you have your draft next week. Again, not this week. And then you submit it in week 14 for a final grade after all of your proofreading. Keep chipping away at it. Now, have a great week, and I hope you enjoyed the beginning of April. I hope your lives have not been heavily disrupted by the NCAA tournament. Get that material complete, and next week will be a lot easier for you. Promise. See ya.